Hello and welcome back to Chunking to Fluency, your go-to place for learning English naturally, one chunk at a time. In today's part 3 of a 4-part series, we'll be working with another 25 slow English sentences, all designed for intermediate level learners. Inside each sentence, you'll find useful phrases and expressions or chunks that real native speakers use every day. Just listen closely and shadow what you hear. That means repeating each phrase out loud, first with the speaker, then by yourself, at a comfortable, slow pace. This method will help you build fluency, confidence, and automatic recall. So get ready to speak, repeat, and improve, one chunk at a time. Ready? Let's do this!
And the next one is for the resume boosters. To improve your resume. Once more, to improve your resume. This chunk shows motivation. It's for people with ambition and good taste in verbs. He enrolled in the course because he wants to improve his resume. He enrolled in the course because he wants to improve his resume.
Here's a chunk that belongs in every "where are we" moment. The address on the map. The address on the map. This is what you're frantically trying to find when your phone battery hits 2%. An example sentence. We couldn't find the address on the map. We couldn't find the address on the map.
Here comes a chunk filled with emotion and lots of texts. She was surprised by. She was surprised by. This one's perfect when something totally unexpected shows up, like 78 new WhatsApp messages. An example sentence. She was surprised by how many messages she received. She was surprised by how many messages she received.
This one's got energy. Kid energy. We're so excited. We're so excited. This is what happens the night before a field trip, a birthday, or Christmas morning. An example sentence. The children were so excited that they barely slept. The children were so excited that they barely slept.
This chunk is for the binge watchers and documentary fans. The documentary. The documentary. You start watching for 5 minutes, and 2 hours later, you're ready to become a wildlife expert. An example sentence. The documentary was so interesting that I watched it twice. The documentary was so interesting that I watched it twice.
Here's one for the eco-conscious crowd, or the car-free rebels. To ride bikes more often. To ride bikes more often. Less gas, more pedals. Great for your health and your mood. An example sentence. They decided to sell the car and ride bikes more often. They decided to sell the car and ride bikes more often.
And now, a relatable tragedy. Fell on the floor. Fell on the floor. That heart-stopping moment when gravity wins and you pray the screen didn't crack. An example sentence. My phone fell on the floor, but luckily it didn't break. My phone fell on the floor, but luckily it didn't break.
This one's a friendly reminder. Read before you do stuff. To read the instructions carefully. To read the instructions carefully. Because life is easier when you don't skip step 1. An example sentence. It's important to read the instructions carefully before starting. It's important to read the instructions carefully before starting.
This next one, totally relatable in 2025. To work from home. To work from home. Also known as pajama productivity and Zoom meetings with coffee in hand. An example sentence. Most people prefer to work from home nowadays. Most people prefer to work from home nowadays.
Here's a chunk that proves you can do a lot with a little. With little time. With little time. You were rushed, you were stressed, but you still got it done. Boom! An example sentence. Even with little time, we managed to finish the project. Even with little time, we managed to finish the project.
Let's wrap this round up with a chunk full of fun. Leisure options. Leisure options. Think parks, museums, arcades, or even just napping in a hammock. An example sentence. The city offers many leisure options for all ages. The city offers many leisure options for all ages.
You know it's a bad sign when nobody is at the front desk. At the front desk. At the front desk. You walk in, look around, and it's just crickets. Classic hotel mystery. An example sentence. There was no one at the front desk when we arrived at the hotel. There was no one at the front desk when we arrived at the hotel.
Let's talk about the real reason we go out, food. The food at the restaurant. The food at the restaurant. When it's good, it's worth writing home about, or at least leaving a glowing review. An example sentence. The food at the restaurant was delicious and generous. The food at the restaurant was delicious and generous.
This chunk's a timestamp and usually a food coma marker. After lunch. After lunch. The perfect time for a stroll, a nap, or a museum tour. An example sentence. After lunch, we'll visit the museum and have a coffee. After lunch, we'll visit the museum and have a coffee.
Next up, a travel chunk you'll definitely use in Brazil. When we arrive. When we arrive, great for planning what comes next, like where the nearest beach is. An example sentence. Please tell me when we arrive to Rio de Janeiro. Please tell me when we arrive to Rio de Janeiro.
This one's for the early birds and airport planners. To call a taxi. To call a taxi. This chunk saves the day when public transport just isn't cutting it. An example sentence. I'd like to call a taxi for 9 o'clock in the morning. I'd like to call a taxi for 9 o'clock in the morning.
Let's talk money. This chunk helps you budget like a pro. Per hour. Per hour. Whether it's renting a bike or hiring a tutor, you'll want this phrase handy. An example sentence. How much does it cost to rent per hour? How much does it cost to rent per hour?
Still renting? You'll need this chunk too. Per day. Per day. Great for travel, car rentals, or figuring out what you're paying for that cute little scooter. An example sentence. How much does it cost to rent per day? How much does it cost to rent per day?
And if you're staying longer, here's a chunk with serious savings. Per week. Per week. A handy phrase for Airbnb hosts, car rentals, or co-working spaces. An example sentence. How much does it cost to rent per week? How much does it cost to rent per week?
This one's a low fuel panic button. Out of gasoline. Out of gasoline. No one ever plans for it, but it always happens on a road trip, right? An example sentence. I've run out of gasoline. I've run out of gasoline.
Let's close this round with a digital era necessity. Access to the internet. Access to the internet. You can lose your luggage, but if you have Wi-Fi, you'll survive. An example sentence. I'd like to have access to the internet. I'd like to have access to the internet.
This one's for the planners in the group. Should be back. Should be back. This chunk is perfect when you're organizing a group outing and want to seem responsible. An example sentence. What time should we be back? What time should we be back?
Ah, yes. Shopping vocabulary. Very important stuff. My size is. My size is. Because nobody wants shoes that are too tight or jeans that betray you at lunch. An example sentence. My size is 40. My size is 40.
Here's a retro chunk for old school photographers. Black and white film. Black and white film. Yes, film, like the stuff people used before selfies. An example sentence. I need a black and white film for this camera. I need a black and white film for this camera.
Simple, classic, sharp. Enough. Enough. Used when you've hit your limit. or just don't want to hear another sentimental story. An example sentence. Enough. Enough of the sentimental stuff. Enough. Enough of the sentimental stuff.
We hope you learned something new today with these English chunks, and that you're feeling more confident with each phrase you practice. Thanks so much for listening and for being a part of the Chunking to Fluency community. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and share it with someone who's also learning English. And of course, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell icon so you never miss a chance to increase your fluency. See you in the next lesson. Be blessed.